Today, we're going to deconstruct one of the most savage and brilliant pieces of satire ever written, Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal. This is an essay that's designed not just to be read, but to provoke, to disturb, and ultimately to awaken your conscience.
So let's just dive right in with the line that has been shocking readers for nearly 300 years. This is the cold, calculated heart of the proposal. The image is so grotesque, it forces us to ask one really fundamental question. And that right there, that's exactly the question Swift wants you to ask. Is this the work of a complete madman, or is it something else, a carefully engineered moral attack? The answer lies in understanding that every single shocking word is a carefully chosen weapon. To really get this essay, we have to see his imagery not as just, decoration, but as a weapon designed to completely shatter the reader's moral comfort. And he builds his argument in 3 distinct stages: bait, trap, and shock. Okay, so let's dive into this. Before he can shock your morals, Swift first needs to make you feel something. He doesn't open with his horrifying solution, no. He opens with the horrifying problem, and he makes it absolutely impossible for you to look away. He doesn't give you abstract statistics. He puts you right there on the streets of Dublin. You see the beggar woman, you see their kids all in rags, you can feel the desperation of the mothers begging for help. He makes the suffering personal, public. And this initial wave of sympathy, that is the bait. By activating your empathy and making you acknowledge the problem on a human level, Swift primes you. You're now ready for the moral trap that he is about to spring. So now that he has your sympathy, Swift begins to twist the language in a deeply, deeply unsettling way. He shifts from the world of human suffering into the cold, detached world of economics and agriculture. He deliberately swaps words of humanity for the language of livestock. Mothers become breeders, and children become carcasses. He's mirroring what he saw as the cold indifference of the ruling class, who, in his view, already saw the Irish poor not as people but as economic units. And he reinforces this dehumanization with cold, hard numbers. He calculates the number of children born into poverty as if he's just taken inventory of a farm. Human lives are reduced to data points on a ledger, stripping away every bit of emotion and ethics. This is Swift's underlying warning. He's critiquing an obsession with pure reason that was happening at the time, showing how logic, when it's completely disconnected from ethics and compassion, can become monstrous. And here's the trap. By slowly leading you through this cold, rational language, Swift draws you closer and closer to accepting his horrifying conclusion. If you accept that people can be discussed like cattle, the next step becomes disturbingly logical. So, with the bait taken and the trap set, Swift finally unleashes the full, grotesque horror of his proposal. And he doesn't place it on some distant battlefield, he places it somewhere shockingly familiar: the dinner table. He presents cannibalism with the totally mundane language of a recipe book. He discusses preparation methods, even fashion accessories made from human skin. This act of domesticating the horror, that is the ultimate shock. By doing this, Swift just collapses the boundary between a civilized meal and an unspeakable act. He's showing how easily evil can be normalized and accepted, especially in comfortable homes that are far removed from the suffering it's all built on. But listen, the shock isn't the final point. The shock is just the tool Swift uses to deliver his true verdict on the society of his time, and its profound, profound moral failures. And this is where Swift reveals his real argument. Towards the end of the essay, he briefly lists actual humane solutions to Ireland's poverty. And then he just dismisses them, not because they're ineffective, but to show that society has already chosen to ignore them. Cruelty, he argues, is a choice, not a necessity. Swift is an absolute master of this technique. He attacks the hypocritical, self-serving rhetoric of his time by presenting his monstrous plan as a merciful and charitable act, one that's designed to benefit the poor and the nation. And this brings us to Swift's ultimate accusation against the ruling class. Their problem isn't a lack of intelligence or viable solutions, it's a complete lack of conscience. It is pure apathy. So, what does all this mean for us, the readers? Well, Swift designed this essay to be more than just a text. He designed it to be a test. He holds up a mirror not just to 18th century Ireland, but to anyone who reads it.
Your own gut reaction to the proposal is the final judgment. If you are horrified, then great, your moral compass is working. But if any part of you starts to see the cold logic in it, well, then Swift's accusation is aimed squarely at you. This is the timeless lesson Swift leaves us with. It's a powerful warning about the dangers of dehumanization, showing that once you start treating people as objects or statistics, there is no atrocity that cannot eventually be justified. And that leaves us with a final thought. Swift's moral mirror was built for the 18th century, but what does it reflect when we hold it up to our world today? What human suffering do we reduce to statistics? And what cruelties do we justify with cold, detached logic?